I'm very much enjoying the saga of the Your Party fiasco that has been going on for the past few months now, because you can see that it is really an amazing exercise in watching left-wing infighting and political allegiances and political factions forming within such a small party, and how it's about personalities that are driving the problem, because none of them have really had a lessening character. It's really evident from the outside that Zara Sultana is the source of the problems in your party when it comes to the management, organization, and frankly hierarchy of the party. Because of course it's Jeremy Corbyn's party, right? Jeremy Corbyn is the grandee who is setting up the party. He is the person who is at the top of the hierarchy, whether you like it or not. And yet, at every point, Zara Sultana has pipped him at the post, jumped the gun, acted in a spontaneous and unrestrained manner, whether it's to announce the party, whether it's to start fundraising for her own faction within the party, using a link that Jeremy Corbyn had to disavow, whether it's her then calling it a sexist boys club to try and leverage woke ideology over him, and then to reconcile, threaten to sue, and then to reconcile and say, actually, you know what? I mean, I'm not gonna do all of those things. The question of who's in charge is evidently come to the fore for their party, but the answer is also quite self-evident. It's Jeremy Corbyn, and it should be Jeremy Corbyn, and everyone involved should accept that it's Jeremy Corbyn. But for some reason, they don't. For some reason, Zara Sultana has decided, oh no, it should be me. And it's because of a sort of commitment to this deeply equalitarian ideology. She's decided that actually we should all be equal. I mean, there's a faction in there that doesn't even think the MPs should be in charge of the party. It's like, okay, that's mad, isn't it? It's just absolutely mad. This insane, roiling, like cauldron of desperation that's within the party, that's come from the idea that they are all completely equal. Jeremy Corbyn has got way more experience than any of these people, and that longevity of experience of being an insane communist traitor, whether you like it or not, should count for something. And the people in the party should respect that, actually. And this is what makes him the guy who naturally should be in charge. Not only his public profile, but he's also got the experience of the thing. And yet, because the ideology says, well, anyone who can grasp the ideas in the abstract is just as worthy as anyone else who can grasp the ideas, suddenly Zara Sultana is thinking, well, hang on a second, I've got a basic understanding of these things, although, as we saw in her question time performance, she literally thinks there's a magic money tree. And she doesn't understand their economics outside of Keynesianism. They literally have come to the point where each person, being their own legislator, being their own sort of moral legislator in the kingdom of events, has decided that I know best. My interpretation is the best interpretation. And how do you decide between them? Well, if you're a party that's committed to equality uber alles, then it's difficult to decide, isn't it? You'd have to fall back on something, I don't know, slightly more traditional, like Jeremy Corbyn's wealth of experience, or his age, or his fame, or whatever. But the point of the matter is the party is destined for this kind of roiling infighting, because, and this is nothing new on the left either. The left is absolutely terrible for infighting. We think it's bad on the right. No. It's way worse on the left. Way worse. And it always has been, because of the natural sort of power-seeking tendencies of leftists. A lot of people on the right don't actually exhibit many power-seeking tendencies. Right-wing ideology is usually considered to, how to describe it? Like right-wingers usually think that the cream will rise to the top, and that people who deserve things will get them in the course of time through their just and virtuous actions, will get what they deserve. Left-wingers don't believe that at all. Left-wingers believe that if things are just left to their own devices, then the world will end up becoming far right. And they're correct, by the way, on that. The world will be insanely far right if things are left to their own devices, because that's the natural state of human beings when left to their own devices. But this imbues the left with deep power-seeking tendencies, and that's the purpose of ideology. The purpose of ideology is to establish a set of maxims and commands by which you can demand power. I know this is correct because of my logical derivation from a set of axioms and maxims. Therefore, give me power, and I will do these things, and they will produce a concrete result. Now, the fact that they often don't produce the concrete results that the left is expecting is not something that they ever concern themselves with. It was not real communism. It wouldn't be like that if I were in charge. You've heard the arguments over and over and over. And one of the points that people on the right would make to, say, the communists is like, well, it's very strange that you're getting into bed with the Islamists, because these people do not believe anything that you believe. Not only are these people not materialists, as in they think it is God above that ordained the world below and instructed man on how to live a good life, which is the complete opposite of the rational materialism that the left believes. It is idealist sort of theocracy is what the Islamists believe, and the left actually has a completely opposite worldview. And so the Muslims are intrinsically hierarchical, transcendentally hierarchical, we could say, and frankly, deeply, deeply conservative in their social beliefs and the way that they think that society ought to be run. Now, compare that to the leftists, who are deeply materialistic, intransigently atheist, don't believe that there is a God, and don't believe that there is a hierarchy ordained by God, and moreover believe that each person can be a moral legislator on par with God, and therefore the lack of humility, the lack of grace, the lack of common sense that the left develops and exhibits, as the Yacubians have pointed out, Ahmed Yacub here and his buddy, who are remaining independent of your party, it creates a toxic environment of insane intolerance. And man, if there's one thing we've seen from the left over the past few years, it's insane intolerance, isn't it? And so this alliance of convenience is beginning to break down. As you can see from Ahmed Yacub here, we are not joining your party. Well, why not? Why were you bothering in the first place? Like, what's the point of your party? Well, the point of your party is, and I'm not even going to overstate this, to use communist ideology to extract resources from the native population and redistribute them to minority populations, one of which being the Muslim community. And that's why the Muslim community are involved. They think that they can get resources funneled from the government, extracted from the majority population, and given to them. I mean, this already happens, obviously. The Muslim community in Britain is not a net contributing community in Britain. We know they take more in benefits than they pay in. And so the interests of the Yacubians and the Muslim community in joining your party are just enrichment for our own personal gain. And why is Jeremy Corbyn courting these people? Well, because he's a mental communist who is basically a traitor on every issue. And he wants to establish their equality, material, spiritual, philosophical, with the native population of this country. Put the minority on the equal footing as the majority. And so this is why this alliance of convenience has come together. It's like, oh, I want to make the world equal, and that means redistributing wealth from the majority to the minority. Well, I'm the minority, and I would like that wealth, and I don't care why you're doing this, until they have to get along together. And then it turns out, as you can see, they've created a toxic environment, and this is what Yacub's friend says. They've created a toxic environment in the party, and socially conservative views are not welcome. Well, yeah, of course they're not. Why would socially conservative views be welcome in a highly progressive communist party? These people believe in the total abolition of the family, if you drill them down into it. They believe that children should be liberated from their parents. that women should be liberated from men, that men should be liberated from Labour, that nobody should have to do anything at all. And so, unsurprisingly, this didn't go down well. And as you can see, Jack here, this is a toxic environment where conservative views are not welcome. Yeah, I'd hope so, says the communist. Of course, the communist doesn't want conservative views in this environment. And this is what makes it toxic. The natural sort of antibody immune response of the leftist is to be like, oh, like with Zach Polanski and Zia Yusuf on Question Time, hissing and spitting, fascist, you know, evil right winger who doesn't agree to the most extreme view of the interpretation of liberalism I hold. How dare he? He is a moral defective because I have legislated in a manner that any rational being ought to be able to agree to. And as I'm definitely a rational being, says the leftist, you not agreeing means either you're too stupid to understand what I'm saying, but I don't think that, and therefore, because I know we're having this conversation, and therefore you must just be evil. You must just be a bad person. Don't you want good things? No, you want bad things. You offer bad things. And there are no such thing as second-order consequences. There's no such thing as a failed project, in my view. You are just bad people. And therefore, the left in your party, the white leftists in your party, are finding themselves coming into conflict with the Muslims and the Yakubians, who are just like, oh, so I thought we were just going to work together against the majority population. And they're like, no, we are working against the majority population, but we are working against the entire system itself. And the thing is, the Yakubians and the Muslim community are probably not actually that bothered about overthrowing the system. I think they're just more interested in extracting wealth for their community. And what appeared to be an alliance of convenience is starting to break down because they realize, oh, wait, the people that we are with are actually mad. They're actually insane. And they want insane things. And they want insane things not just for the majority English population. They want them for us too. And we're not having those. We're not having wokeism in the Muslim community. And fair play to them. I don't think you should have wokeism in any community. And so they're like, no, we're not gonna join this. The whole thing's toxic. They are insane about social and family values. And they're proud of what they're doing. They're proud of making sure that we can't bring in traditional family values into this party. And so obviously you've got areas in the Muslim community that's like, yep, no, we're not joining this. This is mad. This is toxic factionalism. And you can see the toxic factionalism all the time because, I mean, Zara Sultana at this point apparently still has £800,000 that she hasn't transferred. She's pledged to transfer 600,000, but why not the full 800,000? I mean, there's so many questions that we just don't have answers to yet. But like I said, I find this very fascinating because finally, the necessity of hammering out the contradictions between Islam and communism are coming into view. It's become something where they're in complete control of this organization now. Well, what do you do? It's not like you've got Labour lefty or like the Labour right, controlling the discourse or being a large faction within. No, it's just you and the communists. What are you doing? And the Muslims are like, wow, this is a toxic environment and we don't want to be a part of this. We definitely want the resources from the majority population, but not like this. This is mad. And the things that these people would do to our families and our communities are very, very damaging, which is why we're not really going to get involved. And I agree with them. Frankly, I wouldn't want to get involved either. The whole thing is just genuinely quite gross and obviously self-destructive, but it is also for us instructive. What is the shelf life of the Islamo-Communist alliance? Well, it seems that it's about a couple of months when they're left on their own and they're both working together and there's no one else from the outside interfering in their business. Not only do you get the standard leftist factionalism, which destroys almost everything ever, you've got the various splitter parties within your party coming out, but also the Muslims themselves are like, well, okay, I don't agree to transitioning kids or whatever else the left have been trying to impose on them, and so it splits apart within months. Just within months, this is going down the drain. So good news, and we should learn our lessons from this.